Good afternoon. I've inherited a lot from my dad, as evidenced by the cheeks and the double chin, but unfortunately, an aptitude for public speaking is not one of them, so please bear with me. Thank you, everyone, for your attendance today in honor of my father, and thank you, Mr. President, for affording him this honor. You have by now heard many things about my father as a pharmacist, a commissioner, a minister, an activist, a freedom fighter, a public servant, and a CODESA chair, a hero to the country and to the movement. But for me, there's a certain cognitive dissonance in my head about who Pravin Gordhan is. A stoic leader, formidable in his fortitude and intellectualism in public spheres, but at the end of the day, a simple, humble, and compassionate man, just my dad. The dad who massaged my head for hours to alleviate my migraines, the dad who never erased my drawings on his whiteboard at work, instead writing around them. The dad who was at every award ceremony and special event, no matter what public engagements he had. And the dad who pushed me to understand dialectical materialism when all I wanted was to scroll on my phone. And he was the best father I could have ever wished or hoped for, as cliché as that sounds. I grew up with my father in a different time. I don't have struggle stories, and I was very privileged to be with him at a time where he could be home more often with his family, and I wanted to give you a little glimpse of what that was like. My father loved spy movies and romantic comedies. He supported Liverpool, but always made a point to support the underdog in any competition. He could not tolerate the slamming of doors in the house or the car doors because it brought him back to the trauma of being in detention and the cell being slammed shut by the security police. His favorite art piece was a sculpture named The Thinker. After his detentions, he could stomach almost any food, and he wasn't fussy, except for peanut butter. My father only had his first taste of alcohol after South Africa achieved its democracy in 1994. He made this choice so that he would never find himself inebriated and vulnerable and possibly at risk of giving up information. He was incredibly disciplined. My father loved stationery and notebooks and has created quite the collection over the past few years, and one of our favorite pastimes was window shopping in an art shop. My father was present in almost every facet of my life, and he is deeply embedded in everything that I am. One of my favorite anecdotes is on a particular casualty shift that ended at 7:30, a time that I was still firmly in denial about my deteriorating eyesight, and so I never wore glasses. I was walking back to the main casualty area after our handover round. I then noticed very blurrily that a crowd had suddenly formed just after the nurses' station. My initial instinct was, oh no, what has happened now? As I cautiously approached, I noticed that the patients were surrounding someone. As I got closer and my visual acuity improved, I realized that it was my father in the middle of that crowd. He had come to collect me from work after my shift and had come into the casualty to look for me as I had taken longer than usual to come out. The crowd were actually patients excitedly surrounding him in an attempt to greet him. In that moment, I saw someone who inspired and brought joy, even to those who were sick, in pain, and scared. What a privilege to be that person, and an even greater privilege to be associated with them. I realized the honor I had as his daughter, and what a profound and beautiful honor it is. Of course, he then kept me at work longer after my tiring shift, as he spoke to clerks and triage staff trying to optimize the waiting time at the hospital. This is just one of many stories that I have, and since then I have been honored to witness more and more of these types of interactions. Usually with ordinary South Africans on the ground, those interactions gave him the most peace and confirmation that he was doing right by this country. With regards to my parents, the most resilient and loving team, I've often referred to them as soulmates, but now I think that it is more than that. I firmly believe that they are twin flames, one soul in two bodies, activists, comrades, and life partners, and it has been a blessing and a gift to bear witness to their remarkable relationship. To see the simplicity and humility of their bond, their unwavering devotion to each other. True partners are a relationship built on mutual respect, trust, and unconditional love. My father rarely spoke about my mother in public, partly to protect us from the public eye, but also because he would often start to cry when he spoke of her. He always taught me to constantly raise the bar, but in this case, they've already set the bar extremely high. He always used the term that we serve at the pleasure of the president, but I always added the qualification "and Vanitha." My father was a party man and a disciplined and dedicated cadre of the movement, fiercely devoted to his country and its people. He fervently believed that the renewal and revitalization of the ANC was possible. One of my dad's favorite philosophers and writers was Antonio Gramsci, and Gramsci once said, "I hate the indifferent. I believe that living means taking sides. Indifference and apathy are parasitism, perversion, not life. That is why I hate the indifferent." South Africans, please continue to connect the dots. Don't be fooled by the convincing tones of populist rhetoric. Continue my father's legacy, a life dedicated and devoted to the betterment of this country and its people. He once said, "The public should mobilize. Fragmented voices don't have the weight it requires. Masses make history, not individuals." The best honor that you can give him is to continue the fight for non-racialism and social justice. He was not a religious man, but he believed that the meek shall inherit the earth. It is difficult for me as a medical person that I was unable to save my father, and it is something that I will have to deal with in the years ahead. From his teachings and his influence, I am deeply committed to our public healthcare system, and hopefully I can make a difference to other people and their families. Dad, all I can say is thank you. Thank you for this extraordinary life, for loving me so immensely and being so proud of me. I will miss you every day of my life, but I know our bond transcends physical boundaries. I will spend the rest of my life trying to live every day to make you proud. If I achieve anything good or great in this life, it will be because I've had you as my father and my lodestar. Thank you.
Thank you, sis.